Hey good people, and welcome back to my channel. For nearly the past 2 months, I've been posting videos from my How Game of Thrones Season 8 Should Have Ended series, where I reimagine, re-examine, and rewrite the story for the final season in such a way that it will be a vast improvement over what we the fans were given 2 years ago. In just a few moments, I will be sharing my thoughts on the series finale episode 10, which I conveniently called The End is Near. As I reflect on the series, I will be giving the earlier episodes names as well. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel and you want to support my platform, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. All support is welcome here. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. Episode 10 picks up around the same time as Season 1 of the show began, but there are some major differences to the story. In this alternate timeline, characters like Gendry and Cersei's children no longer exist, while characters like Yoren from the Night's Watch, Jon Arryn, and Arthur Dayne are still alive. Beric Dondarrion doesn't get killed by the Mountain, and he isn't resurrected by Thoros of Myr. Therefore, there is no Brotherhood without Banner storyline. The Stark direwolves that we've grown to love are technically alive in this story, but they more than likely never encountered the Starks, and even if they did, Ned would have ordered them to be killed. In this timeline, King's Landing also has not been irresponsible with its spending, and they do not owe the Iron Bank any money. And aside from the strained relationship that King's Landing has with Dorne, the west of Westeros has been remainingly peaceful, with Rhaegar's son Aegon being used as a symbol of peace, traveling around to every major house in Westeros and maintaining proper relations during most of his teenage years. Aegon is also a master swordsman, having been trained by Arthur Dayne and Sir Barristan during his childhood. So the beginning of episode 10 starts much like the original season opener. We travel beyond the wall where a White Walker kills 2 Rangers from the Night's Watch and raises Whites to join the Night King's army. Will from the Night's Watch goes AWOL and is captured by the Northerners. When interrogated about abandoning his post, Will tells the Northerners that he saw a White Walker and it killed his other Rangers. Ned Stark is alerted about the situation, but instead of executing Will, he believes Will and tells Maester Luwin to send a raven to King's Landing to alert the king. At King's Landing, Grand Maester Pycelle meets with Rhaegar and informs him about the raven they received. Rhaegar meets with Tywin to talk about the message from the north and his plans to travel there. Tywin advises Rhaegar against going there and shares that he will lend the Mountain and the Hound to his cause. Rhaegar then tells Pycelle to contact all the major houses in Westeros. The time has finally come. At Winterfell, Rhaegar, Aegon, the King's Guard, which includes Sir Barristan and Arthur Dayne, and the caravan are shown arriving at the castle. Once at Winterfell, Rhaegar and Ned greet one another. Aegon has a much warmer greeting with the Stark family, mainly Ned and Catelyn. Ned, Rhaegar, and Aegon and company enter the Great Hall of Winterfell, where they are greeted by Benjen Stark, Jon Arryn, Stannis, the Blackfish, Randall and Sam Tarly, the Queen of Thorns and Sir Loras, and Prince Oberyn. During their meeting, Rhaegar thanks everyone for coming on short notice and wanted to talk to them about the threat of the White Walkers. Ned informs everyone that a deserter from the Night's Watch claimed to have seen a White Walker even under threat of execution. Ned then brings Will into the room, and Will tells everyone what he saw. Rhaegar suggests that it is his destiny to protect the realms of men and defeat the White Walkers once and for all, because he is the prince that is promised, but he needs everyone's help to do so. The bulk of everyone at the meeting thinks Rhaegar is crazy, and they don't believe in White Walkers, but they attend the meeting nonetheless because he is their king. So Rhaegar promised everyone in the room gold, land, and opportunities if they come on the journey with him. Everyone seems to be on board except Prince Oberyn. Oberyn still held a grudge over how Rhaegar broke Elya's heart and drove her to commit suicide after she returned back to Dorne. Oberyn said that he would come along on the journey if he could get a seat on the small council in return, and Rhaegar agrees. The coalition then leaves Winterfell, and they arrive at Castle Black, being greeted by Commander Mormont of the Night's Watch. In this timeline, Sir Alliser and Clubfoot Carl are present. A surprise face that we see at Castle Black is of Bronn. We learn that he was with the Night's Watch in the original timeline, but he snuck off when he went to visit the Mole's Town brothel, and he never came back. During this meeting, Commander Mormont agrees that something needs to be done about the threat of the White Walkers, but beyond the wall is far too dangerous to venture out with a small force. Commander Mormont then suggests that they send out a messenger to get in touch with Mance Rayder for a sit-down at Craster's Keep. The messenger is sent beyond the wall, and as the coalition awaits Mance's response, there's a scene between Randyll and Sam. Randyll tells Sam how much of a disappointment he has been to the family, and tells Sam that once their business is finished there, Sam needs to join the Night's Watch because he will not be welcome back home. Aegon overhears this conversation and goes over to a depressed and somber Sam. They talk and become great friends. We also have a scene involving Maester Aemon and Sir Alliser giving Aegon and Rhaegar a friendly meeting. Several days pass and the messenger returns to deliver Mance's response. Mance Rayder agrees to meet at Craster's Keep in 1 week's time. The group with Commander Mormont and Bronn make their journey to Craster's Keep. When they finally arrive at the keep, they are greeted by a number of wildlings, including Tormund, Ygritte, One, and others that are part of this group. They all go inside the keep where Mance is raiding. Rhaegar starts things off by saying that they all have a shared goal in common, in viewing the White Walkers as the enemy, and he wants everyone to join forces so they can defeat the White Walkers once and for all. Mance likes the idea of a united force fighting the White Walkers, but he wants to know what becomes of the wildlings once the White Walkers are defeated. Rhaegar replies that the wildlings can remain beyond the wall and govern themselves as they see fit, or they can settle in the north, and he will provide them lands that they can use. Mance likes the idea of getting his people to settle south of the wall. This idea is met with the dismay of Rhaegar's allies, but Mance agrees to terms, and he shares that he can only commit 3,000 wildlings to the cause, because it'll take a lot more time to rally the remaining wildlings. An agreement is reached, and it would allow Randyll Tarly and Stannis to lead the forces against the White Walkers. At the end of the meeting, Aegon, who has been mostly quiet the entire time, gives a long gaze to Ygritte, and she gives a long gaze to him back in return. Craster, who is also at the meeting, asks the group if they plan to leave. Craster is present during this meeting, and he asks the group when they plan to leave. He is his usual crude self during the scene, and we also see all of Craster's wives nearby. One of his wives sees this meeting as an opportunity to let everyone know what's going on. She shouts out that Craster has been helping White Walkers grow their army. Rhaegar and Mance interrogate Craster to ascertain what he's ultimately been doing, and he admits to sacrificing his boys to the god of winter. Craster has a wife that just gave birth to a boy. Craster is executed by order of Rhaegar, while his wives are allowed to go to Mance's camp and live out the remainder of their lives, free of rape and incest. The combined free folk and Westerosi forces execute a plan to use the baby that was just born as bait to see where the White Walker takes it. The combined forces are shown training and planning out their attack on the White Walkers. Craster's baby is taken deep into the forest and set on the ground before being left. After waiting a few hours, a White Walker appears to take the baby. Orell goes into working mode and begins to track the White Walker's movement. The combined forces are alerted and they begin their march towards the White Walker's home. The group makes camp at the Fist of the First Men, and while there, some of the wildlings stumble across the stash of dragon glass that Sam found in the original timeline. The glass is brought before Mance Rayder, who immediately recognizes what it is. Mance takes the horn for himself and lets Rhaegar know that the dragon glass can be used to fight the White Walkers. The group are armed with the dragon glass and they make their journey towards the land of always winter. Upon their arrival, the weather is pretty harsh, but the group encounters the White Walker Kingdom. They see White Walker children as well as dozens of White Walker adults interacting with one another, whites as well as undead animals. The battle then begins. Rhaegar takes out his sword and lights it on fire, just like Baron Dondarrion used to do. Randyll Tarly and Stannis command their troops to take their positions. The White Walkers put up a good fight, but all in all, the Whites and White Walkers are ultimately defeated. At the end of the battle, Sir Arthur Dayne, Randyll Tarly, Ned Stark, and the Blackfish, as well as 1,200 wildlings are killed, but the combined forces manage to eliminate 7,000 Whites and White Walkers. Rhaegar and company make their way back towards the wall. On the way back, the group makes camp at Craster's Keep. They all drink wine and toast to brighter futures. But after 30 minutes has passed, Rhaegar starts to feel ill and develops a fever. We then learn that the real reason for Oberyn coming along on the journey was to be at a place to poison and kill Rhaegar in retaliation for his treatment of Elia. Before Rhaegar dies, he has Theon fill out a scroll naming Aegon as the heir to the Iron Throne. The group learns of Rhaegar's death and they're baffled at how it could have happened. Mance brings up the subject of honoring the deal that he made with Rhaegar, to which several lords such as Stannis, Benjen, and Commander Mormont share that because Rhaegar is dead, then they can no longer honor the deal. They try to justify their position by saying that the White Walkers are gone, and the wildlings don't have to worry about coming down south to the Kingdom of Men. And if Aegon wants to change things when he officially becomes king, then he's able to do so. This news angers Mance, and arms are drawn on both sides. But Mance ultimately agrees to leave with his people and remain beyond the wall. Aegon gives one last look to Ygritte before heading back to Castle Black. While at Castle Black, Sam is informed that Randyll Tarly was slain in battle. Aegon lets Sam know that because he hasn't officially taken his Night's Watch oath yet, he is free to join the Night's Watch or return back to his home. Aegon also suggests to Sam that he could go to Old Town and be trained as a maester. Aegon tells Sam that Pycelle is getting old at King's Landing, and he will need a replacement over the next several years. Sam agrees to leave and travel to Old Town. Aegon leaves Castle Black with the Kingsguard, the Clegane brothers, and Sir Loras, and they make their way back to the Winterfell, bringing the bodies of Rhaegar and Ned with them. The Stark family mourn the loss of their patriarch. Jon Arryn, who is still at Winterfell, asks to speak to Aegon in private. During their discussion, Jon Arryn talks about how he respected Rhaegar and he believes that Aegon will make a great king. Jon Arryn then asks Aegon if he would be willing to let Littlefinger have a place on the small council. Aegon agrees to it. Aegon and Robb share a scene together, with them sharing memories of Ned Stark. Back at King's Landing, Aegon hands Grandmaster Pycelle the scroll signed by Rhaegar, naming him heir to the Iron Throne. The news angers Viserys, who believes that he should be king. Aegon retains Tywin as Hand of the King to maintain the alliance between the two families. There's a ceremony in which Aegon is married to Cersei. Jaime and Tyrion are present during the wedding. At the first small council meeting, we see Tywin, Varys, Littlefinger, Pycelle, Prince Oberyn, and Aegon present. As important matters of Westeros are being discussed, Aegon appears to be despondent. As members of the small council are clueless as to what is bothering Aegon, we as the audience see that Aegon has Ygritte on his mind, and he longs for the day that he could find her again. As the meeting ends, Aegon announces that he wishes to go beyond the wall again. The members of the small council ask Aegon why he wants to go there, and he doesn't give them a definitive answer. Prince Oberyn then suggests that Aegon must be in love with that wildling that he met. Aegon appears to be embarrassed, but he shares with the council members that he intends to honor the deal that Rhaegar made with Mance Rayder. The council members caution Aegon against honoring the deal, to which Aegon tells everyone that he will sleep on his decision. The meeting adjourns and the situation catches the attention of Varys, who knows what awaits Westeros if Aegon makes the same mistake that his father made. Viserys gets word of what happened at the small council meeting, and it upsets him. Viserys talks to Varys about the matter, and he wonders what his options are. Varys suggests to Viserys that he could travel to Pentos and meet a friend who may be able to help, but he would need to take Dany with him. Varys responds that bringing Dany along won't be an issue because she does whatever he wants. As the show nears its end, we see a montage of scenes that foreshadow the future of Westeros. After the wedding of Aegon and Cersei, Jaime and Tyrion stick around King's Landing for the time being. We see a scene of Tywin staring at Aegon from afar. We see Catelyn Stark meeting with Lena Tyrell about joining the two houses by marrying Sansa to Sir Loras. The Starks are enjoying life at Winterfell as Robb is appointed Lord of Winterfell and given Ned's sword Ice. During Robb's ceremony, we see Arya practicing swordplay with the stick, and she bumps into Sir Rodrik, who asks her if she really wants to learn how to fight. Arya swears that she wants to be a fighter, and Sir Rodrik vows to teach her how to fight, because he was the first sword of Braavos, hinting that it's Jaqen H'ghar. We see a scene of Bronn going AWOL from the Night's Watch after visiting the Molestown brothel, and he becomes a sellsword in the north. We see Stannis, Renly, and Stannis' family moving back into Storm's End, with Sir Davos being by his side. Brienne of Tarth arrives at the castle and wishes to pledge her service to their house. We see Varys arriving at Dorne to meet with young Griff and his sister Rhaenys to discuss the future. Yara is at Pike bringing Baelon valuables that she's plundered from ships that they were sailing. Over in Essos, we see a scene from the wedding of Dany and Khal Drogo, where Dany meets Ser Jorah, who's been a sellsword for Illyrio, and Dany is also presented with 3 dragon eggs. We see Euron Greyjoy in Valyria coming by the dragon binder and telling himself it would be extremely useful if there were dragons he came by. We see Mance Rayder meeting with Tormund and other wildlings. Mance is holding the horn, which is really the Horn of Winter, and he informs the wildlings that he will continue to unite the free folk. And if the White Walkers ever come back, then the horn will be their salvation. We see a shot of an aged Bran in the God's Eye with roots growing through him, like in the original Three-Eyed Raven. Bran is watching the world as history unfolds, and he is on the lookout for the next Three-Eyed Raven. The show ends with a scene featuring the Night King coming back to his city, visibly angry that his kingdom was attacked and all his White Walkers were killed. To the Night King, the truce was broken. He raises his hands to allow the dead to join his ranks, and he vows war against the living. The end. Well, folks, this marks an end to a very long series, but I want to thank everyone that took the time to check out these videos. Starting next week, I'm bringing back my unpopular opinion video series every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm also taking requests from anyone who wants me to review a particular movie, TV show, or if someone wants me to create a new rewriting series. But until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.